Hello YouTube, my name's Nero and today we some Call of Duty World at War Zombies playing on Nocturne Toten here, the very first Zombies map ever made. Did you guys know that? This is the very first Zombies map. If you haven't played it, this was made in Call of Duty World at War. It came out in 2008, of course, and it was originally just an Easter egg for finishing the campaign of World at War. Once you finish the campaign, you beat all of the missions, you unlocked Zombies mode, which was just this. There were no perks, there was no pack-a-punch, there were 3 rooms to play in, and that's really it. It was really, compared to what we have today, it was really not a whole lot to shake a stick at. There was nothing really great about it, but it was still so cool that there was like this Zombies game mode. And of course, via DLC, they brought out Verrückt next, where they introduced perks. They brought out Shinonoma, where they introduced Hellhounds. They brought out Derice after that, where they introduced Pack-a-Punch. And then, of course, Zombies has continued to be a staple in Treyarch games throughout all of these years. What we're going to be doing in this video is discussing my wish list for Call of Duty Black Ops 3 and its zombie mode. Of course, we are 3 days away from the world reveal of Call of Duty Black Ops 3 Zombies at this year's San Diego Comic-Con, which of course is going to be on July 9th of 2015. So before we learn all that information, I wanted to kind of make this video saying what I'd like to see in Black Ops 3 Zombies and kind of comparing it with what you guys will hope to see in Black Ops 3 Zombies. And hopefully most, if not all, of our questions will be answered at this year's Comic-Con, where they hopefully give us a trailer or actually show some gameplay or have a playable build of it there for people to check out. Who knows what they're going to do with it, but we're going to be learning a lot about Black Ops 3 Zombies on July 9th at Comic-Con this year. So what I would like to see in Zombies, first and foremost, story does not matter to me. And I just want to kind of preface this all by saying that I'm not a story person. I know there's some people that buy Treyarch Call of Duty games specifically for the zombies, and those people are also into the story of the game. I know nothing of the zombie story. I have played on every single map. I've gotten to good rounds on just about every single map, but not once have I really paid attention to the story, nor have I ever completed an Easter egg in any of the Zombies maps. Never once. I tried, but I never actually ended up completing any of the Easter eggs. I think the most recent one was on Transit in Black Ops 2. I tried to complete the Easter egg with that with some friends or even sometimes subscribers, but we never did it right. We would get to the part where we had to like kill the electric guy out in the field while he's underneath the tower. We couldn't do it. I could never get him to die inside the tower. It was so frustrating. So from a story perspective, I really don't care what they do with it, but I'm more or less looking at this as a gameplay perspective. And of course, I would love them to continue the story because there's so many of you guys out there that love the story of Zombies and the characters and what's happening within it. And if they want to continue the story, that's fine, but from my perspective, I'm really not too keen on that, but I would like them to continue the story for those of you guys who really do care about that kind of thing. I'm more really about the gameplay. I've been playing a lot of custom zombies, as I'm sure you guys know from watching my YouTube channel. Maybe you watch my Let's Play channel where we're doing a lot of playthroughs of different maps on there, as well as Dear Nero, the weekly Q&A here on the channel, where I, for a lot of time, have custom zombie gameplay because I play so much custom zombies and there's so much maps out there that the community is building that I like to try out a lot of them. And through there, you see a lot of new innovative ideas made by people. Of course, they're not as polished as if they were made by Treyarch themselves. You know, Treyarch, they're paid professionals. You know, they created Zombies. They're putting these maps together, and they're going to be very detailed, and they're just going to be perfect, right? Whereas if you look at, you know, something a custom Zombies modder is going to make, that person is just a very passionate fan about Zombies, and he's not going to necessarily have the skill set to make a brilliant map like Treyarch can make, but they're going to be able to make some really cool maps regardless with a lot of innovative ideas. Now, I've been playing a lot of this, and I've seen a lot of innovations in terms of trying to make objectives around the maps. And I wonder if Treyarch is going to be doing that with Black Ops 3 Zombies, whether or not they are going to be taking the idea of objectives and adding them into the fold while playing in Zombies. It's entirely possible that they're going to go ahead and do that. So far, the Zombies experience has been survive whatever amount of rounds you can survive, and if you want to, here's an Easter egg, right? That's all Treyarch Zombies really has been. If you look at other formulas, you look at the Left 4 Dead formula, you want to get to point A to point B, stop here in your safe house, go on out, go from point A to point B, stop in your safe house, re-gear up, do a systems check and everything like that, keep on going. You know, you do the Left 4 Dead style, or even the Sniper Elite style, the Sniper Elite Nazi Zombie Army, which really has cool, innovative ideas, but it's mainly the same idea as Left 4 Dead, where you start in a safe house, you get to the next safe house, you have to fight all things in between. You know, it's entirely possible that Treyarch would do something along those lines. If you look at what they did with Transit itself was a very innovative idea. A lot of people didn't like it. It wasn't well received whatsoever. Personally, I loved it. But the idea of an open-ended zombie map was really fun to me. It essentially took a bunch of maps. You had town, you had farm, you had the power plant, you had the bus depot, you had the diner, you had all these places all thrown together. And it felt like there was 5 maps all in one, plus all the areas in between. Like, for example, if you wanted to run between town and the power plant, you had, like, the cabin off there, and that was just a cool little Easter egg area that you could go to, and you could buy the Bowie knife in the wall. I love the idea of the open-ended Zombies experience, and for me, it was great, and I'm hoping that there is something similar or an equivalent to Transit in Black Black Ops 3 Zombies for those of us that really like that idea, but I understand we are a minority, or maybe there's the vocal minority of people that say they hate it. Who knows? I personally loved playing on Transit. I spent more time, I think, playing on Transit than I did any of the other maps in Black Ops 2 Zombies, although I did put a lot of time into Die Rise, put a lot of time into Mob of the Dead and stuff. But I like the idea of an open-ended Zombies map, and I think it'd be kind of cool if they were to explore that a bit more in terms of giving us objectives. Like, everything you had to do to just get the Pack-a-Punch. Like, Pack-a-Punch was hidden, like, underneath the bank in town, and to activate it, you had to, like, build this thing and take it over to the power plant. Like, I thought that was all kind of cool, right? I thought that entire system was pretty cool, and I would like for them to innovate that and kind of be, but I gotta maybe go a little bit further with it in Black Ops 3 Zombies. I think that'd be pretty cool. If we look at all the maps they've actually put together over the years, they always try to innovate in one way or another and make it so one map does not feel like the other map. So look at Transit, completely different, giant open map, where it essentially takes a bunch of smaller maps and puts them all into one big map while still filling in the gap between them. That's kind of cool. You look at the fact that Nocturne Toten, the very first zombie map ever, was actually an Easter egg on Transit as well. If you go out in the middle of a field, you can find that first map all the way out there and just hang out there if you want to. It's a really cool idea. But you look at Transit, they tried to innovate with that idea. You look at what they did with Die Rise. Die Rise itself was their first time really trying to add verticality to zombies and having multiple floors. And even, in fact, they had 2 giant skyscrapers with multiple floors, and you could jump between the skyscrapers. Like, that was a really innovative idea. I thought that was really cool. You look at Buried, you're underground, you know, and there's this haunted house with these what I called ex-wives that would steal your money if they hit you. Then you had to go through a maze just to be able to get to the Pack-a-Punch in the backyard. I thought that was a really neat, innovative idea. You look at Moon, they take you up onto the moon, and you have like this zero gravity thing going on where you're going to suffocate if you go out there without your mask on, and of course Easter eggs that you could do there, and you bust open the biodome and stuff like that, and the fact that you could jump a little bit higher while you were outside because of the gravity changes and stuff. That was really cool. You look at 5, I personally wasn't a giant fan of 5, but you had the teleporters and the people that would steal your guns in 5, so that was pretty interesting. Mob of the Dead was just really cool. One of the best maps in my own personal opinion. Mob of the Dead was great. And then you look at like what we got with Shionuma. What you did with Shionuma was there was 4 buildings around the exterior of the map, and the perks would show up in those buildings randomly. So you kind of had to go out there, and it was always random as to whether or not you were going to get the perk that you wanted or the perk that you hoped for. And a strategy that I always did with my friends was, you know, we would hit the box a bunch of times because there's usually 4 of us, you know, we're all trying to get the best weapons possible. And then when the box would move, we went to that particular building while playing on Shionuma, and then we would go to that building regardless of what perk was there, and we would just hang out there and continue to hit the box and stuff like that. And we would just basically follow the box around the map. There was 4 buildings plus the center building in that map, which was pretty interesting. And that's what I really hope they do with Black Ops 3 Zombies. I'm hoping specifically that they have a lot more innovative maps and that they don't necessarily feel like any other map. When I play custom zombies, they're all made by fans and stuff, you know, so a lot of them end up feeling about the same. Whereas when you're playing a Treyarch map, they always try to make them feel very different in one respect. There's always something way different about one map compared to the other. You look at how you play on Die Rise versus how you play, you know, for example, on Origins, the last zombie map to actually come out. The playstyles there are completely different. It's a completely different idea. You have the giant walking robots coming around and stuff. It's crazy. And I think it'd be cool if they kind of continued on with that alternate reality kind of a thing. And again, I'm not a story person when it comes to Treyarch Zombies, but just from what we saw there, where it's like this alternate reality where there's giant Nazi robots walking around, you know, and you see everything that's going on with it, I think it'd be cool if they were to explore that space a little bit more, because if you go with this idea of an alternate reality, or at least what I understand to be an alternate reality, if you go down that road, it opens up the ability to do whatever you want with the zombies experience. And that's why people always go with a futuristic setting in their games, is because you can really do whatever you want with that setting. You know, if you want to have pigs fly, you can have pigs fly because it's the future. If you want to have robots take over the world, robots take over the world. It's the future, you know. There's so many futuristic games now, and it's because it opens up that space to do whatever it is you want to do with the story. But regardless of that, though, still, Treyarch always kind of did whatever they wanted to do. You look at the original story, who had, you know, Richtofen in there, and you had Tank and Nikolai and Takio. You had those guys in there, and Samantha played a role in there as well. You look at that story and where we went with that was all pretty interesting, but it really kind of didn't make sense because they were really just throwing you everywhere, you know. For whatever reason, in like the original thing, okay, you were just like unnamed American soldiers while playing in Verrückt. You were unnamed American soldiers while playing in Nocturne Toten. You were actually the characters, one of the 4 characters, while actually playing in Shionuma, which was pretty interesting. Of course, you were the characters when you're playing in Derice. And then you look at the characters that they brought in with Black Ops 2 and that in their story, and then the fact the fact that there's like people in Mob of the Dead where there were just like these 4 people that kind of put together for Mob of the Dead that were just prisoners in Alcatraz. Like it's nuts, all the things that they do. So they already kind of like decided we're gonna just really do whatever we want. There is gonna be a story here, but it's gonna be pretty hard to follow the story. And again, this is coming from somebody that plays a ridiculous amount of Call of Duty and has for a number of years now. And I've played tons of zombies, I've played all the maps, and even I can't follow that story. It's really hard. Like I would need to watch like a video or read through some wikis and stuff just to possibly understand exactly what's happening, because a lot of the story is based off an Easter egg, which of course is very, very difficult to use. So they could do whatever they want with these zombies, and I think that's going to be the best part of it. I want them to add in more innovative maps into the game, making it so the maps actually feel a bit different. In terms of actual mechanics and actual things I'd like to see them add to the game, for example, I would like to see a Pack-a-Punch 2.0. If that's possible, let me know what you guys will think about this. The idea of a Pack-a-Punch 2.0. So let's say, for example, in the context of maybe Advanced Warfare, let's grab an HBR-A3. You take your HBR-A3, you go to the Pack-a-Punch, you Pack-a-Punch it for 5,000 points. Bam, you have your HBR-A3 super awesome, whatever it's called. It's a Pack-a-Punch weapon, right? You have that, which is nice, but for 10,000 more points, 10,000 doubling it, you get a new Pack-a-Punch weapon, which I don't know what they would do with it. They make it a lot more powerful, obviously. They make it so maybe it's got different attachments, bigger magazine, maybe it looks a lot cooler, maybe it's got a cooler name. I think the idea of a Pack-a-Punch 2.0 could be pretty interesting. I would like to see if they were to do something along those lines. That would be pretty cool. But then again, that kind of enters into Advanced Warfare Exo-Zombie territory, and the idea of what they did with Exo-Zombies and their level up system for your weapons, your progression system in that, I never thought it was as good as Pack-a-Punch, although admittedly they share some really similar properties. So you look at what you do in Advanced Warfare. You have the marks, basically. You upgrade your weapons. Again, going back to the HBR-A3, you upgrade it to the HBR-A3 Mark II, the Mark III, the Mark IV. And every time it gets a little bit stronger and it changes camos. Then once you get up to a certain number, it actually starts giving you attachments. And sometimes those attachments are bad. Like, for example, you can get like a melee. I think it was the melee. It's one of the light machine guns. If you actually upgrade that enough while playing Exo-Zombies, it gives it like a thermal scope, which is terrible because having a thermal scope is awful in zombies because it cuts off all your peripheral vision when you have to actually aim down sight. So sometimes it's bad when it does that. But what I always liked about Pack-a-Punch was when you upgrade your weapon, it's upgraded and it's powerful right away. You don't have to keep working at it. It's just going to be ridiculously powerful right from the get. And of course, you have to learn there's going to be certain rounds where, for example, an upgraded Tommy gun is going to kind of stop being effective at a certain round. You kind of have to know when that round is going to be. Then you have to switch over to like a wonder weapon or an upgrade like machine gun, something along those lines. You have to go ahead and do that. And I think that's always kind of cool about it. But when you look at what they did with Exo-Zombies, you had to continuously upgrade your weapon, and they would always just give you ammo for it. And it was a bit different. I always thought that the system of using a Pack-a-Punch was a bit better. So the idea of a Pack-a-Punch 2.0, which is going to be, again, kind of similar to what they do in Advanced Warfare, I think would be pretty interesting if they were to go down that road. Perks. What are we going to do with perks? The perks themselves have changed a lot over the years. If you look at Quick Revive, originally it was just to revive your teammates. If you played solo, Quick Revive did not revive you while playing solo. It was a waste of your points, and frankly, it shouldn't have been on the map because it would just trick people into thinking they were going to get revived, which was never very good. So they actually updated that. So of course, actually made it so if you're playing solo, Quick Revive would actually work, and it will only cost 500 points while you're playing solo. Double Tap. Originally, all it did was increase your fire rate, which nobody ever wanted because that would just make you waste more ammo. Having Double Tap was never a good thing. And then they updated to Double Tap 2.0, where instead of just increasing the fire rate, which it still does, they also made it so it shoots 2 bullets for the price of 1, which effectively doubles your firepower if everything stays on point, which is pretty good. They updated that. Of course, Juggernog has always been great. Speed Coil has always been great. And they've always added a bunch of perks over the years. You look at Vulture Raid, they ended up adding Stamina Up, which in my opinion is one of the better ones they've added so far. PhD Flopper, which is really only useful if you like to dolphin dive off of things, or if you like to use a ray gun a lot. You look at that. You look at Deadshot Daiquiri, which in my opinion was never really that great. You look at Tombstone, which basically allows you to run back to your body and get everything that you already had. There's a lot of perks they've added to the game over the years, and I'm not entirely sure that they're going to be adding more this year. It's entirely possible, right? Chances are they will. Some specific ones that may work within the context of Black Ops 3. Probably they're going to be adding new perks. But I'm not looking for anything specific. While playing zombies, I never think, wow, if I had this particular thing, maybe if there was like a scavenger perk where I could grab more ammo, that's the only thing I ever feel so I need while playing zombies. That's the only thing that's ever a problem. It's like, man, I need ammo. Because aside from that, it's like, okay, well, I can very easily, start moving around really quickly if I want stamina. But of course, Vulture Raid Elixir kind of gives you ammo in some respects at the same time. So they've already kind of added that. But, when I'm playing zombies, it's mainly, okay, do I have Jug? Because I need Jug. That's top of the priority list. Because if you get double hit, you're done. You know, that's top of the priority list. But then after that, all the other perks are really kind of, they're interchangeable. I can choose to use one perk over the other or vice versa. I can, you know, for the most part, if I were to play on Town, for example, if I were to play on Town, I want to get Stamina up because it helps me move around really quickly. I want to get Juggernaut. Of course, I want to get Quick Revive because I'm probably going to be playing solo, and then Double Tap because it makes my guns effectively twice as good, right? For me, Speed Cola is not essential on that map. There's other maps where Speed Cola is essential. You kind of have to pick and choose your perks. I think they're kind of overdoing it with the amount of perk choices that you actually have, but, you know, again, if they want to add more perks to the game, I'm entirely cool for that. That's all new content, all new stuff to try out, and I think it would be a pretty cool thing. In terms of the map layouts themselves, I would like to see the map layouts themselves continue to innovate and continue to feel different, while at the same time maybe randomizing it up a little bit. One of the reasons why Shinonuma, and this is a spoiler for my top 10 zombies videos if you guys haven't seen it, the reason why Shinonuma was my favorite zombies map, not only because it was like the first like big map that I really started getting into zombies with, but it was one of my favorites because there was like these 4 areas around the map that you and your friends had to go to kind of like as a team, and you would go in there and then a perk would show up and it'd be a completely random perk. You never knew what it was going to be, and you have to try and survive out in that little tiny building. It gave you like objectives, like little areas like go survive here, go survive here, go survive here, go survive here, without actually making you go survive there. It just, you could really make up your own story and do whatever you want to do with it. Like, for example, what we would do when we would play back when Shinonuma first came out was we would basically hit the box a bunch, because there's 4 people, of course, in the game. We hit the box a bunch when it was in the center building, and then after that, we would follow the box to wherever it moved to once we got the teddy bear, and wherever it moved to, we would hang out in that building until the box would move again. And, you know, that's how we picked our order for opening up the buildings. That's how we decide which buildings to go to, and we would stay in these buildings, like 2 people to get the back windows, 2 people to get the front door, and it was fun playing that way. I thought that was a really cool, innovative thing. I would like to see something like that return, while at the same time kind of innovating upon it in some respects. Like what we saw with Nuketown Zombies, he actually added in the same kind of idea as Shinonuma, in that the perks were random as they came down, which could really change your experience. You know, Nuketown itself was a very small map, so it was already challenging by that aspect alone. And then they made it more difficult by making the perks random. If you guys are longtime fans of the channel, and this is some really old school stuff, back when Black Ops 2 like first came out, I was posting videos of it. I did a road to round 20 while playing solo, because I really decided in Black Ops 2 that I wanted to get really into zombies. I wanted to get a lot better at it. You know, I played a bit in World at War, a bit in Black Ops, but Black Ops 2 is when I really got into the zombie scene. And I did a road to round 20, trying to get better at playing solo and just trying to become a better zombies player in general. And it took me so long to get to round 20 while playing on Nuketown, because every time I tried, I had to wait till like round 12 to get Juggernaut, which was insane, because it was like always the last perk that would drop for me. You know, it was just insane. So that's kind of a fun little innovative thing that they did, and I would like to see them kind of expand upon that in the future. Just a thing that I might personally want to add in here is something I think would be really cool, especially if it was just an additional DLC where they wanted to just kind of like do it for fun. It wouldn't really take that much time out of the day for the developers. If they were to do throwbacks, right? I know they did this already for Black Ops 2, but if they were to do throwbacks for some of the older zombie maps, right, but then change them a bit to kind of show that, yeah, it's been a very long time since whatever happened there, I think that'd be really cool. If we could go back to Shinonuma and actually update it to the point where there's a bunch of these new perks in there, and actually have a Pack-a-Punch in there, because that's the thing, man. Shinonuma is a cool map, but the fact there's no Pack-a-Punch really kind of limits what you can do on the map. You really have to use the traps to your advantage. That would be pretty cool to be able to go back to that map. You know, maybe one of the buildings has fallen over because it's been so long since that building has, you know, been used, or this area has been used. Or maybe they do an entire story-based thing and actually flesh out the story a lot more in Black Ops 3 Zombies, where we do get to go explore some of these old places, while at the same time getting to explore some of the new places, and actually having like a full-on story mode when it comes to zombies. What we have heard already is that there is going to be a progression-based system in Black Ops 3 Zombies, which I'm totally all for. I think that's going to be really cool. There's going to be this progression system in there that, you know, you can level up and unlock possibly different things, perhaps camos, perhaps titles, perhaps what have you. I don't know what they're going to be giving us from that, but there is going to be, what they said, a progression system in zombies, but it's not going to be forcing you to progress, this, I guess, would be the phrase, because they said that if you're somebody that doesn't like to play a lot of zombies, but if you want to play zombies, you can hop in, and if you're on a good team, or you're good by yourself, you can get to a high round, it doesn't matter. But at the same time, there's also going to be this progression system for players that like to play a lot of zombies, because again, going back to what I said at the very beginning of the video, there are a lot of people out there that buy Treyarch games specifically for the zombies. Right, that is a thing that happens. So they want to make this fun progression system, which I'm all for. I love the fact they add in a quote-unquote combat record in the Black Ops 2 Zombies. I like to see in Black Ops 3, I would love that for them to have a full fleshed out combat record. You know, I would like to see exactly how many kills I have in zombies with certain weapons, and make it super detailed. Like, let's say, for example, using in the context of, let's say, Advanced Warfare, let's say I want to know exactly how many kills I have with the AK-12 overall. I want to be able to see how many kills I have with the AK-12 unupgraded. I would like to see how many kills I have with the AK-12 while it is upgraded. I'd like to be able to see all that information because they tried doing something pretty similar to that in Black Ops 2. They let you see how many kills you had, how many doors you opened, how many perks you drank, and that access to that information was always kind of cool. But they also add in this thing where it's like, this is your favorite weapon. And for everybody, everyone I asked, everybody I've talked to, their favorite weapon, according to that comment record, was always the M1911. And so I'm assuming the weapon that they're talking about is the weapon you've like played the most with. And that's not really a fair thing because we start out with the 1911, you know, so everybody's most used thing is always going to be the 1911. So maybe they could actually update that. You can actually have a favorite weapon. Perhaps there could be specific things. Here's a cool idea. This is completely off the top of my head. But what if there were camouflages or pieces of gear or special attachments for your gunsmith? What if there were specific things that you could earn for the multiplayer while playing in Zombies? All cosmetic, you know, similar to what we had in Advanced Warfare, where if you were to play a lot of Exo Survival, you can get the full-on Zombies skin for your character in the multiplayer. What if we had something along those lines, where instead of making us pay money for, you know, zombie camos and via microtransactions, why not have a couple of those thrown into the game itself? So if you make it to a certain round on a certain map, like let's say, oh, this would be a fun idea. This is, again, just completely off the top of my head. Let's say, for example, if you get to round 35. 35 is reasonably high. Maybe even 30. 35 may be too high. But let's say you get to 30, 35, something along those lines. On a Zombies map, you unlock a specific camo and maybe something else. Like maybe a special red dot sight, a special foregrip, something like that, that you can use in the multiplayer. It'd be pretty cool because there'd be groups of friends all together. Like, okay, guys, let's all work together here. We know our strategy. Let's work to try and unlock this camo in Zombies for the multiplayer. That gets people going over to play Zombies, and you actually have people working together. And if you're like me and you like to play a lot of solo, that gives you something to really kind of work for while playing solo. That'd be pretty cool. And do that for every single map that comes out, because we've seen how easy it is for them to make camos. They literally puke out camos. You look at how many microtransaction DLC camos Black Ops 2 came out with. They literally puke these things out, right? They can make these all day and night. Like, they can make so many camos. So make a specific camo where you can't purchase it, you can't unlock it in the multiplayer, and the only way to get that camo is to get to round 30 on the first Zombies map that comes with the game. Then when the next zombie map comes out, you know, make a brand new camo that if you make it to round 30 on there, you get that camo as well. It would be a cool thing to kind of tie in Zombies and the multiplayer and give you kind of rewards. I think that's one thing I'd really like to see in Black Ops 3 Zombies is something along the lines of rewarding players for actually playing. That would be pretty cool if they were to do that. Instead of just making it up there, because that's one of the things about Zombies is you don't really feel rewarded when you get to a super high round when you're playing Zombies. You look at, you know, I made it to round 70, was it 78 on Die Rise? And the only reason I died is because I literally ran out of ammo and there's no way for me to get more ammo. And at that round, oh man, it was insane. I had an upgraded RPD, like an upgraded Pack-a-Punch RPD light machine gun. It took every bit of ammo I had from start to finish, all my reserve ammo, and I couldn't kill one zombie with it. Like, that's how insane the zombie health was. You need like a wonder weapon at that point, or traps. That's what you need to kill zombies at that round. But yeah, I made it to that round 78, and it was cool because I got a high spot in the leaderboard, but aside from that, I didn't get anything in terms of a reward. And that's what I'm hoping this progression-based system in Black Ops 3 is going to be like, where they're going to actually reward players for getting to those super high rounds. You know, if you get to a really high round, I want there to be a reward for that player in the form of Zombies rewards or multiplayer rewards or what have you. That would be pretty cool. I would love to be able to see something along those lines. I think that would be pretty nice. And maybe even some way to be able to show off to other people while you're in the lobby that you got to a certain round. You know, going back to Modern Warfare 3, it's something I thought was pretty cool, but they never actually implemented it any further. If you go back to Modern Warfare 3, not in Spec Ops or anything like that, but in the multiplayer itself, if you look at somebody's player card, it showed you what prestige they were on Call of Duty 4, World at War, Modern Warfare 2, and Black Ops, which I thought was really cool because as somebody that played a ton of Call of Duty, right, I was max rank on every one of those games, so my color record thing looked pretty cool. You hovered over my name, it showed you what prestige I was for Modern Warfare 3. It also showed you that I was like max prestige on all the other Call of Duty games, so I thought that was pretty cool. So to be able to do something along those lines in Zombies, kind of show you like, oh, I made it to this round on this particular map and stuff like that, that'd be pretty cool. Be able to show off that kind of thing. Just more innovations, more customization, and actually, above all, I would like to see more rewards for playing Zombies aside from get to certain round, you know, because that's the thing about zombies is for some people there's like infinite replayability because they love the idea of being able to continuously play and just try to get to a super high round and showing up on the leaderboards, which people are they're always competing over that, right? You're always competing on the leaderboards with your friends list, right? That's what people always do. That's what I always did. I'm sure you guys did as well. You want to get to a higher round than what your friends got while playing solo, and while you're playing with your friends, you guys want to all work together and get to a certain round so you can be highly ranked on the leaderboards or what have you. So leaderboards are always kind of fun, but I'm just hoping to see more rewards and more reasons to play zombies and continue to play zombies aside from let's hit X amount of rounds. I'd also like to see them continue on with the story mode. I talked about that earlier, but kind of make it a bit easier to follow, actually make it more story based, I suppose. I think that would be pretty cool as well, because I would like to know the story of zombies, but it's just really hard. But ladies and gentlemen, that is going to be today's video. That is going to be my summarized wish list of what I would like to see in Black Ops 3 Zombies. Of course, in 3 days time on July 9th at the San Diego Comic-Con, we will be getting an actual reveal for Black Ops 3 Zombies. Whether or not we're going to be able to see actual gameplay, if we're just going to get a trailer or what have you, we're going to be able to find out, and hopefully a lot of our questions will be answered when they actually reveal Black Ops 3 Zombies. I want to make this video kind of just discussing zombies in general and what I hope to see in Black Ops 3. And again, to summarize it, a lot more incentive, a lot more rewards, more innovation, and just more fun. I mean, zombies itself, I've never really had any complaints about it. And in terms of Black Ops 2, I loved all the maps. Buried was my least favorite. But the only reason Buried was my least favorite was because it was a very easy map to figure out. Like, all you had to do is stay on top of a rooftop. You put the little spring-loaded thing off the other end of the roof, and you just literally shot fish in a barrel. It was really easy to get to a high round on that, which is the biggest reason why I didn't think it was that great. But aside from that, I loved all Black Ops 2 Zombies, Black Ops 1, World of War. I've always loved the zombies experience. I've loved every map that's come out so far, with the exception of 5, even though I thought 5 was really cool. But then once you started going to the teleport and stuff, I didn't really like it as much. But I loved all the maps for the most part. They were all really fun, and I'm looking forward to seeing what they're going to be doing with Black Ops 3. And yes, to close off the video here, ladies and gentlemen, I'm hoping that thruster packs and all of this new movement stuff that we're seeing in the multiplayer does not make its way into zombies. That's what I'd really like to see above everything else. Well, ladies and gentlemen, I hope you guys all enjoyed this video. Remember to leave a rating. Let me know in the comment section below what you guys would like to see for Black Ops 3 Zombies. Hope you guys all have a wonderful day.